Hello, people. Uh, well, I don't really have many things to say. So just now I got this. It's from Lee's Chicken, and I usually order these, from time to time. Um, it's not opening well. Oh, it's open. Here, you can have a look. See, it's pretty good. So the topic of this video is from one slave to another. I woke up today. Just like as every day, you wake up in your little cell that you can call an apartment, you can call a camper, you can call whatever it is you're gonna call it. As usual, I'm so depressed, I don't have a will to live. And I had some bad news about a bunch of stuff. It's always hard for me to be on camera. I sort of get a little nervous, and all of the thoughts kind of go out of the window. But I just wanted to say that, well, these wedges are pretty good. This potato salad is pretty good as well. Well, I guess this is what life is about. You sort of enjoy all the little things at least. This is something that they cannot take away from us. Again, this is from a slave to another. You know, you and me. If you think about it, in human history, most of the time you do read about it, you realize that 90% of the population at any given point at any given time most likely is slaves, peasants, low people. People who do all the job and just until that they die. Their whole life purpose is to be the cannon fodder. And why do you think we're very different? Just because we have screens. I'm looking at you from my little screen, and you can't see me into your little screen. I'm filming from my own cell, and you're watching it from your own. Um, yeah, I think that I have been delusional to think that this is not the case. Just today, I'm trying to get, um, kind of get accustomed and accept the possibility that I might be a slave for the rest of my life. You know, and if I am lucky, if some people, if they are lucky, they can spend the rest of, when your body is way too old to work, when you're in your 60s, then you might have a few good years before you're thrown in a nursing home. Just another cell, just for your death. So you can die with the lead lights in your eyes. Worst death imaginable. So, um, I'm just, if you're like me and you might do relate to this, so that there is the possibility that you never get out of this slavery. You're gonna keep working something that you don't necessarily like, you know, and can't save much really to buy your own freedom. It's just gonna keep going like that, and it sucks and it hurts, and you don't see any other way. You just do what you do, and um, well, this food is really good. Hmm. I can feel all the little things. I don't know. It's like all the dressing, and I don't know, all the details of that. I I'm not eating anything since the start of the day, so this is my first thing that I'm eating at the moment. When I was there, they asked if I wanted to drink with it, and I said no, because I think that's way too many calories. I can drink water always. Um, but yeah, I wanted to put this out there to say that I'm suffering greatly. Probably not too much more than the average slave. But the purpose of me making this channel to begin with is to document my experiences. You know, I'm not sure who's this message for. I'm not sure if it's for me or for somebody who's watching. I'm suffering greatly. I'm not only that I'm tired, I'm beyond like so you can get tired, you can get, suicidal, and this is the thing that there are stages to that. So I refuse to take the antidepressants, and my logic of that is simple, which is that if you believe in God or if you believe in a higher power, I believe in that, and I believe that what I do is the manifestation of that, and I hate to mess with that. So let's say if my body is refusing to do work, if my body is tired, if I am feeling like I'm don't want to do anything, then that's how it should be. I should not. I should be feeling like the feelings that we are getting at the moment are natural, and it's part of the system. It's part of everything going around. It's part of the nature of things. It's sort of like when you have an apple tree or an orange tree, and it makes oranges naturally. So when you're feeling so depressed, when you're feeling out of it, this is the nature of things. You're supposed to feel that because this system is messed. System is messed up. It's effed. You know, and they want us to get all medicated. So it's like the classic thing. Like you abuse a person and then you keep them drugged so that they can't do anything about it. That's why they like us to get into antidepressants, or at least that's how much I. That's what I gathered. Is basically that. Like you're gonna be abused and you're gonna suck it, and you're gonna be drugged out of your mind to keep taking it. So if I'm taking it, I prefer to be consciously taking it. I want to feel every bit of pain, and in addition to that, right now I want to document it. I want to document how painful it is, how my mind. I'm at a point where my daily thoughts are barely sensical. I don't know if anybody had reached a point like that in their consciousness where your thoughts are not something comprehensible. It's sort of like gibberish. You're thinking in gibberish. I'm increasingly thinking in gibberish. I thought that I was losing my mind when I was 18, and then in 2 years after that, I thought I was losing my mind then. And it seems like a perpetual feeling of losing my own mind, but somehow I'm still functioning. And the whole thing is very weird. It's almost like a psychedelic experience. But yeah, this is a message. I don't know for who or for what. Um, that I am in this situation right now, and I might be in it for the rest of my life. And it does not matter if I'm gonna keep accepting to be in this situation or not, and what are the other options I got in life. Um, I do want to accept this now, and I always feel very angry when somebody says so. If you're trying to convince me that this is not slavery, that this is fine, that I'm doing better than whoever, than a billion years ago, that I'm doing better than other people, and I'm not saying that I might be. I don't know. I'm probably doing better than a lot of people who are in the sweatshops. Some people like that. It's where their suffering is even more. Um, but this is not a competition about who's doing worse. I'm just documenting what I'm going through. And I know that since I've been 15 to this moment, I've never wanted to be alive. And My biggest reason that I'm not doing anything to like do something like that is that, I believe in God, and I believe it's wrong to, intentionally do something to off yourself. Um you could, it's I don't think I'm a masochist, but it's sort of something like that. It's to the thing of to let your body feel the pain. And the purpose of that is that you try to channel that somehow into something. So out of that pain, let that pain, let that anger push you to do what you need to do. To yell at people, to yell at your mom, to yell at, like do, and if it reaches, and if it becomes something that is not good, so be it. If your anger, if your feelings, there is a result of this effed up system, cause you to do something not good, then so be it. This is what is supposed to happen. This is my belief, you know, and every action has a reaction, and this applies on humans too. So if you subject a human being, just like any other creature, to some form of torture like this, then there ought to have a reaction. Now the problem is most of us have been indoctrinated to not have a reaction. You're supposed to just sit there and take it, and maybe you do. That's not for me to say, and it's not for me to judge. Um, I don't necessarily, I used to like plan a lot, but the more time passes, I believe less and less in planning. So I don't really necessarily have solid plans for the future. I will just see it as it goes. I might take decisions on a whim. Not because I like to, but because this is the state of mind that I'm in. I cannot possibly feel consciousness of too many thoughts in the future without extreme pain. I just cannot. I cannot think too much about the future or the past because this is gonna instantly make me in so much pain that I can't see what's in front of me. Um, so yeah, I just kind of wanted to document this on somewhere. Maybe somebody sees it. I'm not sure if you do believe in reincarnation or something like that. Maybe, I don't want to go there, but if there was something of that sort, wouldn't it be funny that like you're the person would be watching yourself or something like in a different life, or this would be really funny. Um, but yeah, if you're watching this, I don't need really any advice. Don't come here and be like, well, I have advice for you, but I don't really need any advice. I'm sick of advice. I had thousands of advices, unsolicited mostly, and they're all dumb. They're all. It's just there's no way out. There is nothing to say. There is nothing to it. You are a slave. You were born a slave. It was decided. It was, you're meant to be like that, and possibly to the moment that you die, and possibly you will never get out of that. And you do what you want to do with that. You do what you want to do with that, and this is the fate of most of human history. And I feel this is what's going to take us to extinction because it takes one person, one person of us to decide that we have had enough of this, and we can just end this whole human experience altogether. So from a slave to another. I'm not telling you to be hopeful. I'm not telling you that you will ever get out of this. I'm not telling you that you're delusional for knowing that you're a slave. The indoctrination has indoctrinated you to not even see that, to not see what's in the front of your face. So from a slave to another, um, there's nothing to be said. You can do wherever the heck you want, technically. You have to remember that you're not forced to do any of the things that you're doing. You're free to focus your conscious attention to whatever thing that you want to focus on. So while you are a slave, my dear slave, you have some little teeny tiny bit of free will, and it is something, I guess. It's very interesting, like you do have a tiny bit of free will. I guess that's a reminder to myself that. But you have to accept being a slave. I believe that this is very necessary, is to accept the state that you are in fully, that you're controlled by powerful people and you're worthless basically. You have no much worth. If you are a guy, there is a good chance that you will die single. All of every and most, if not all, any female they have ever loved is gonna, is gonna you're gonna watch that person. You're gonna watch that woman that you love, that girl that you love, be with other people, to be on drugs, be humiliated, ruined, shattered. You're gonna see it over and over until that you know you dig that into your own head that you don't matter. You're a scum of the earth basically to those people. You're not a scum on the earth in the eyes of God. You are all the value. You're as valuable as the light in the stars, as the light in the sun. That's what your value is. But to this system, this insanely satanic, corrupt system, you're nothing. You're absolute nothing. They would treat you sometimes, worse than they would treat a dog or like a cat if they could get away with it, which they do from time to time if you happen to live in one of the messed up countries in the world. Like you're treated as worse than cattle, something to be put down, to be fully and 100% controlled right to the very atoms in your mind, in your brain. They want every neuron to be controlled, to be indoctrinated, exactly like how they want you to be the closest thing to a robot somehow, and they cannot succeed because um you know the reality of the situation is that a soul does exist. Some type of a soul does exist that no matter how they try, you're gonna still maintain a teeny tiny bit of free will, of self thought. You if you just need to use it, you just have to tap into. And the problem is they make it harder and harder to tap into that even. Have you ever looked at a potato wedge, especially from Lee's, and it has all of these all the peppers, all the little things, and it's a little juicy. You know, do you ever think about these little things? Hmm. It's crunchy from the outside and soft from the inside. It's sort of like how most people are. No, but this feeling, this taste, this feeling of swallowing this down your mouth is such magic. You could tell at this point, I barely care. I literally barely care. I used to be such an anxious person. I'm probably still somewhat of an anxious person, and I look probably crazy right now, just videoing myself talking to I don't know who, while eating this. I gotta admit, it tastes really freaking good, but I'm eating this, talking about nonsense basically. Um, but I have to get that out of my system. I don't know what to do. I'm at a dead end. I have nowhere to go, nobody to care about me really. I mean, maybe few people, but I have no way of spending my time with them. I'm in a strange country. I was dealt one of the worst cards ever, and I was born in Iraq just before the wars and stuff. Um, I don't want to go too much into my personal life at the moment. Maybe in a different time. But yeah, I was dealt very bad cards, and I'm being told that I'm so lucky that I've made it to this point. I have multiple degrees. Uh, I got a degree in biotechnology, degree in bachelor's in business. I have like an alright paying job. It's not six figures, but um. So yeah, I'm being told that I'm really lucky, but as you can see, I'm losing my damn mind. I have nothing anymore to do. Basically, I'm running out of options. So this is, I guess, this message from a slave to another is what is left for me to do. I got nothing else to do, and so the best thing I could do is at least reach out. When they always tell you always reach out. Now I cannot. This is not exactly a reaching out because nobody here can possibly help me or anything like that. How would they be able to help me? We don't even know each other. And even if we could, I'm just talking to the fellow slaves who might be and might not be able to give attention to me in this little screen here talking about nonsense. Um, but yeah, so I've never imagined, just being a kid, being a 10-year-old, I wanted to be a mathematician. You might find this hard to believe, but I made theories. I have invented theories in math at 14, and the school celebrated me. And let me tell you a little story there. Like the leader of the department of my math, like the leader math teacher. I don't know, what do you call that? The math teacher coordinator. After that, they did the thing to celebrate me and me explaining my invented math theory. Uh, he pulled me to the side, and he was basically like, "Hey, son, so you're a very bright person. You might be able to do great things, but listen to me here. You're in a third world country. If you were in America, they might have helped you. They might have put you in the like in the smart kids school or wherever, and then your talents could get better and better. But right here, it's just going nowhere. And as a 14 years old, I have I listened to that, and I don't even remember what kind of thoughts I had. It was so many things at once. But that was part of the reason that why I wanted to go to America, and I am an American now. Um, yeah, when this time things have gotten so much worse. But I have never imagined to be in this situation where I am depressed out of my mind, so bad that I might as well, like, I'm reaching a state of mind where it's very similar to being drugged or on light psychedelics or something. Um, that's how bad it is that um, while speaking to a camera about God knows what, and my back is kind of hurting me a little bit, so I'm getting a little bit tired. So I want to do a little bit more of this until I get some more tired. I still have a lot of food to go, but I really do enjoy to just feel them in my mouth, And hey, don't think any suggestive thoughts. All right, I do regret saying that sort of. I mean, they taste pretty good, if you actually focus on the taste, if you actually have your conscious attention to how this thing tastes like. such magic. Like it's what is even that, Like it's you cannot put that into words really. I guess this is the blessings in life, All these little blessings and little um like just I forgot the word like little flashes of magic. You know what? I'm feeling a little bit better, you know, but I have to accept my situation. I have to accept it as it is, not to beat myself up, not that I did anything bad, you know. But it's just what the situation is, and that doesn't mean that I have to keep going. I don't have to keep going to work. I can choose not to, and that would be 100% alright. Nobody can hold me from doing that. Obviously, there's going to be consequences if I ever do that. But I have to remind myself that I still have the choice. And if it leads to something bad, then so be it. I'm not going to take any choices now. I don't know if I want to stay working and slaving away or not. And what are the implications? I don't even think about all of that. It hurts to even think about them. But it's something that needs to be accepted, and you don't have to keep planning all the future. You could simply take things on like it's always being said, it's bad to go on a whim. Oh, it's so bad, you're just going on a whim. You're like irrational, impulsive, blah blah blah. But there is inherently nothing really wrong with that. Yeah, you might have a short life, but then so what? Why is having a short life so bad? This whole thing is a lie. That to live longer is better. This is the biggest lie you have been told by your mom, by your parents, because society have been so feminized, and that plays into this slavery thing. But they love that shit. They love when the woman entrench in their kids' minds to keep staying alive perpetually, because you need slaves that have long lifespan. You don't want them to constantly die, so you would need to hire another. You need people that live for long, and so your mom is doing a job for them, and your simpy dad, he's so much of a bleeding heart. Oh yeah, you gotta live for long. This is absolutely wrong. You should not seek to live for as long as you can. You should seek to live for as content as you can be with your own choices. Live in a way that you don't regret. That's your best course. It doesn't matter what you do. Live in a way that you're content with what you do. That's how all creatures on God's earth live. You should never ever sacrifice that for living longer. It's not only it's meaningless and wrong, it costs you your own sanity and soul, and it tortures you more, and it's not necessarily something that God loves as well. God tells you to not take your own life. That is true. But God doesn't say to sit as a slave and keep taking it. And in all religions almost, there's always a thing to stand up against the tyrant. And this tyrant could be like a king, could be like a government, could be like a bunch of people, could be somebody in your life, could be something in your own head, could be like a voice in your head. You have to stand up to injustice, but not because I'm telling you so. It has to come from you. It has to come from your inner soul to be like, if I'm gonna not do anything, at least I'm gonna stay true to my conscience. At least I'm gonna do that. So this is a message from a slave to another. If you're in America, you see things around you. A political spectrum is so divided. The Z people control over our government is very clear. Ben Shapiro is losing his mind and his sanity after the Tucker interview with Nick. Um, I love when that guy loses his crap. He's such a weasel. Like, yeah, 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 yeah. Like, no, yeah. Such a nerd. This guy, he should be hanged for treason. Ben Shapiro should be hanged for treason. I'm glad that people are seeing that now. You know, if there's something that is making me a little bit happy from time to time, it's seeing stuff like that. You know, seeing Ben Shapiro losing his mind. It's just really a sight to see. You know, I'm hoping for the moment that our government is not controlled by the Z people. Probably controlled by something else, but I'm sick of those people. You know, they gotta go down at some point, and I just hope to see it. If you're out there, you're watching this, I just wish that you have a happy moment. You can never have a happy life because the things are, it's like in flux, it's up and down. You could never be infinitely up. That's not how that works. But at least at this moment you're watching me, I hope you have a good moment. I hope that you enjoy wherever you are doing. You might be listening to me eating. You might be listening to me thinking bunch of crap, worried about something. I hope that in that very moment, the Spirit finds you, God finds you, the universe finds you, and you become, how do you say that? And you become kind of more one with it. That you accept things around you, that you accept yourself, you accept God, and you accept the universe, and it brings you peace, at least for a moment. I mean, this is all what we have really as slaves. This is the best that we could hope for, is a moment of peace. It's the closest thing to when everything ends. That might and might not bring us peace. Just taking a moment to feel all the little things around you. Not to pretend that things does not hurt. Things hurt immensely. I'm in pain. I'm so much in pain. And I hate when somebody says, "Yeah, but it's okay." No, it's not okay. You know, I'm I am in pain and it's not okay. Okay? And I have to accept it. Like I get to accept that, and everybody else, that no, I'm not okay with it. It's just that there's nothing I can do about it. And either that I keep thinking that, or I think that I can do something about it. I got to accept both of these things, if and when they happen, from a moment to moment basis. This is at this point the thing that keeps your sanity intact. Is that if you cannot comprehend what the future means or the past, which happens naturally, you gotta retreat to a more narrow and more narrow of a moment, and just function with that. You know, just revert back to this very moment. Forget about things that don't exist, like the future or the past. In this very moment, how does it feel? What do you want to do in this exact moment? This is the best way to tackle. All of these people are trying to treat depression and trying to give you stuff. All of this is BS. What it really comes down to is that they wanted you to have a mental capacity so big. They want you to be so thoughtful so that they could use your thoughtfulness to their benefit, so you can make them money, so you can work for them. You have to drive yourself crazy thinking to slave more efficiently for them. You know, um, but what the truth is that this is what is getting you into a bad place. The best thing you do is that you go back and you stop thinking too much. You just stop thinking and be like, okay, but what if something happens with somebody? Let everything that happens happens. Um, it is what it is. Like you look at cats or multiple animals, and that's what they basically do. Some people say that animals cannot think far ahead. I sort of disagree with that. I think that animals, not that they cannot think far ahead, I think that they choose not to. Like your cat might be able to actually see far ahead. It just chooses not to. It chooses to live in the moment no matter what. Doesn't matter if it costs its own life. And that's basically what we should be getting closer to. And this is the sort of the solution. This is the things that people are not going to be telling you. From a slave to another, they will not tell you that you are a slave because they want you to keep slaving. This is a bad thing. They have slaved you so bad that they slaved even your own mind. That you are not allowed to see that you are a slave, and so they bullshit you with all these terms. Oh, you have a condition called a depression, anxiety, blah blah blah. You need to take a medication. You need to pay us more. You need to slave even more so you can treat it. It's the ultimate con. It's the ultimate scam. Your mental illness is not a mental illness. It's a natural reaction to being overworked, to being overthought. And the way to treat yourself is not to think more, is not to go more deeper into the system, but to get out, to be like, to hell with all of that, to hell with them, to hell with everything. And if I die, then so be it. I will live a content life. I will live a content life. I will live a life that I'm true to my soul and true to my consciousness. I'm not gonna go running after this con man anymore. I'm not gonna be running after this fakery anymore. I'm gonna take a path that I will be content with. And if you're reaching a place where you don't mind offing yourself, then it will be easy for you to go into this situation where you don't care. And I'm not saying that you should do that unnecessarily, but do what you need to do. Do what you need to do to the extent that you want to do it. Not more and not less. If you don't want to give up too much thinking, fine, don't give up too much thinking. If you want to give a if you want to give up most of your thinking and exactly that, then just do that. But what is really important is that you sit with yourself and you feel yourself. You feel what your body wants and needs, and slowly start to go with it, to be at peace with it, and to live with it, and to just live with yourself as is. And I'm not saying this is gonna make you rich. I'm not saying that this is gonna, this might make it hurt less from time to time. But really, this is not like something that would get you necessarily anywhere. Um, this is just a crazy person ranting on a camera about things that worked for them. In a way that I cannot even explain. Why am I doing it? Why does it make things better? I don't know. All I know that it does. Alright, I'm getting bored. I'm getting tired. So, you guys have a good rest of your days. I hope that you do have a wonderful day. Peace and tranquility in your little cell. I'm not gonna gaslight you. If you're in a cell, if you're a slave, you're a slave and you are in a cell. And you can't leave it. I'm not gonna gaslight you about that. But I want to say that you are precious. This is the thing that you might and might not believe. I'm not coming at this to make you feel better, or anything like that. But it's just a true fact of nature. What you experience at all times is magic. You're made out of magic. You are magic. You are very unique. Humanity in this mind, in this thoughtfulness, in this consciousness, you know, exists in a very small fraction of existence, of the universe. God flows through you, and you somehow conscious of everything, and you're conscious of me saying and you thinking, and this experience is very special, and so that makes you really precious. And what you feel is not just validated. Like, if it doesn't matter what you feel at this very moment, it doesn't matter what you feel. It is divine. It is holy. What you feel is more than validated. It is holy. It is in the center of everything. It is the most important thing ever from this point of view that you are having. So, I hope that you have a good day. I hope that you accept things around you, and I hope that you know that how precious you are, and I hope that you go with what your body needs, and see you at a different time.